Right, this is going in the bin of shame. Excuse me. Long night at work. Right, I've just sort of woken up and I've stopped the camera and I've realised, you know what, I'm not ready for the camera yet. I'm not a morning person, I don't know about you. Anyway, next part. What we're going to do today is take the carb off and any associated linkages like the choke cable, accelerator cable. We'll take the carb completely off the car today because that is going to be on this desk being rebuilt in front of the camera at some point. The rebuild kit was about £40 for it, which was quite reasonable. It came with all the associated seals and bits and pieces. I'm not changing anything like the jet. I'm not messing about with it. It's as simple as that, because at the end of the day, that is, if you're changing the jet, you're more or less doing it for performance. This is not a performance-orientated car. It's a smooth car. Different driving experience with the CTX. But not to say they can't produce some performance. They're only fractionally behind the manual gearbox in terms of 0 to 60. That's pretty amazing, that is, when they work. But yesterday, there was a bit of a mishap with the starter motor. Yesterday, I had the camera on this desk and I was rebuilding, as you can see, the starter motor. Yes, that is the internals of the starter motor. And I did a good video explaining how it works. And I just thought, this is good. And then I encountered a problem that I have never foreseen before. Now, the purpose in me dissecting the starter motor was to find out how good the brushes are and whether they need replacing as a separate brush pack. Well, the answer to the second part of what I've just said is you can't replace the brushes on these. They are non-serviceable starter motors. I'm not joking. Now, in the Haynes manual, it talks about Bosch, DW, DM, Magneti Marielli M79 starter motors, right? None of what was in this manual relates to this starter motor. Like, this starter motor was either unique to the CTX or it's not the original starter motor and it's just been bunged off another car, which 34 years old and at that mileage, I very much doubt, but it's very possible. There's been a few things I've noticed that have been changed. On the distributor, you have the amplifier module. That's definitely been changed, so we'll come to that in a second. We are going to do a little bit of a look at the distributor. We're going to strip that down. Not many parts to it. It's not as complicated as what I'm used to, but we're going to have a little look to it to see how it actually works, how everything works in that. But spoilers for that. But as I say, when you are rebuilding a starter motor, it's quite simple really. You've got 2 long bolts. You can take the front of it off. The solenoid detaches with 2 bolts, and then there's a little plastic fork that the solenoid sits on. You take that fork off. It's just a little plastic fork. It's basically, the starter motor will sit like that in there, okay? Because this is the bit, this is the commutator that sits on the brushes. The brushes sit on the end here to give the motor power, okay? And inside there, can you see the brushes? Okay? These are the 4 magnets. And as you can see, I cleaned this out. I did all the cleaning and everything, and then I discovered one thing. It won't go over the brushes. Of course not. Why did I not see that? You need to push them brushes in to push that commutator in between all 4 segments, because they're spring loaded, they're pushed out. Well, how am I supposed to do that if I've got no screws? There's no physical way. Now you've got the cable here, but I reckon this was all fitted in one piece. This basically was fitted with the magnets and the brush pack into the body when it was made. How ridiculous. Now this is a Ford starter motor, I'll tell you. I'll just show you the sticker. Okay, Ford 86 AB 11,000 VA. Okay, that is the starter motor, and it is non-serviceable. This cap should have 2 bolts. You should take it out, and then you could service the brushes and change them. But obviously these are not meant to be serviced. These are meant to be, it's meant to be a throwaway starter motor. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing, all this is going in the bin. Unfortunately, I've cost myself a new starter motor. I am keeping the solenoid, because the solenoid, believe it or not, it works, and you can use that solenoid with any single Ford from, I think, the 80s, 90s, noughties. That will fit a Focus Mark 1 starter motor. So I'll put that in my spares. I need a couple of spare solenoids. So this is the lesson, guys. I inadvertently, in trying to check the size of the brushes, I discovered, well, as soon as I removed this, that's it, gone. I cost myself probably about 80 quid, it looks like. 70, I think 75 quid for a decent starter motor, aftermarket starter motor. I know we all think, oh, I have a work, well, I don't. But it'll be a brand new starter motor. It'll be nice and cleaned up, and it'll be raring to go. Honestly, I was really annoyed. But the basic simple is pre-engaged starter motor. Is a pre-engaged starter motor. It works exactly the same way. The solenoid that sits on the top of here pushes this gear into line with the flywheel. Now, with the flywheel ring gear. You see how it twists? There's a little gear that makes it twist a little bit. And that is to make sure that the teeth line up nice and easy. If it went straight, it might be a bit difficult. And then it is ready to start. And all you need is to turn the key and the whole motor will spin. Good. The one thing I have noticed, though, is that there's no gear multiplication. Usually there's multiple gears to actually make sure that the speed of this is multiplied at this end. This is just a 1-speed starter motor. Modern starter motors are far quicker than that. So a new starter motor is probably not a bad idea for this car. But considering that, well, if I could go back in time and tell the Andrew of the past, don't take it out, leave the starter motor because you're going to cost yourself a new one. Yeah, but at this point, I don't know what the brushes are like. Starter motors, when the brushes go, they just go. Or they become difficult to start. And the curiosity in me wanted to show you how to do it. And it is quite simple. There'd be an end cap. You just take the end cap off, take the brush pack out with this thing and probably this rubber tang, and this little vent here that sometimes comes off. And then the new brush pack will come up with all this, and you literally put it in situ. It will come with a plastic ring, and what you do is you put the commutator in this side, and then you pull the ring as you're pushing in, bang, and you'll just slide the ring, slide the commutator the rest of the way. That's the idea. That's why I can't do this. So what a frustrating thing. The world of cars sometimes even gets me with my experience. But hopefully a carburetor rebuild and a look at Dizzy, we're not going to get them wrong. Touch wood. Anyway, I'm going to grab my coffee and we're going to go outside and take the carburetor off. And we may get that Crossmember off. I will have to get the jack out for that. And one of my jacks has decided it wants to leak a bit of air, so I've got to bleed that first. Right, next day. Now, I have actually drained the oil out of that pan. I have kept that pan, by the way, it's still underneath the sump and it's still dripping, so let it continue to drip. But this is the, yeah, don't worry, it's not Thatcher's. This is the blackness of the oil. It's really black, really black. It's like diesely black. That is well overdue, and I'm thinking maybe I should have done a flush, but maybe not. But anyway, I've got everything down here. As you can see, I've been cleaning again. I've done a lot of wire brushing, so the exhaust has come up. I went underneath the car and did a bit of wire brushing underneath. But we're going to do a bit of wire brushing around the aluminium inlet manifold, cast aluminium. It's oxidizing everywhere, just aluminium oxide on the gearbox casing, but it's come up an absolute treat. But now we're going to take the carb off. Now the first thing is this choke cable and why it's got this on here. I've got a feeling that might be an extra bit of the choke cable missing. I'm not so certain, but the last owner said it was a bit slack without it on, so he put some more on. So I'm not quite, I don't know why that is, but nevertheless, I'm just going to cut it off, and then we'll see what it's like. Oh, God, this goes on and on forever. It's really good tape, this, I have to say. Whatever tape this is. There we go. Oh, God, just shut down the floor. Right. Excuse me. Now, Rob said it's a bit on the slack side, but if we push the clip there we go. You see that? It's gone through that clip properly, and there we go. We have the choke. That is how it's supposed to sit. It's supposed to sit at 90 degrees. So the choke is completely off, which is great. That's great. And it basically, when you pull the choke, you've got this that butts up against the fast idle screw. You see that? You see that movement there? It applies a bit of throttle pressure. There was a measurement back in the day for the distance between this cam and the end of the fast idle screw fitting. So when you pull the choke, there's a little bit of throttle. Did I remember when I said that when you put the choke on, it isn't just about basically enriching the fuel mixture, so basically cutting off the air supply so there's just fuel going in. It also raises the throttle just a little bit, and that's what that fast idle screw does. So the choke is choking, less air, less air, less air, and then we've got a bit of throttle. That is a little bit of throttle, just enough to get things going. Although I have to say, this clip is a bit of a funny one because it goes out and then it doesn't return because the clips, see that for me is a bit weird. It sort of like gets caught. So you might be able to release that. I'm going to actually see what it does. I'm inside the car. Okay, so there we go. We've got movement of the choke. Now, as long as I can push it back in and it returns, it should be okay. So that's full choke, that is. That, you see, before we were only getting about that. It was like that. Now, we're getting the full moment of choke. Now, I'm just going to push it back in and see if it has actually not caught. Yes, it hasn't. It hasn't caught at all. That's absolutely fine. So I'll probably clean that up as such. But my problem would be if you pulled the choke and the end of that sort of the ferrule gets stuck like that. See what I mean? You want it to just go straight back through instead of, oh, I've got caught on the clip or the actual bracket and the choke's still open. Even though you've put the choke lever back in, it's stuck open. That is a problem I've had before with chokes. You have to make sure that what you're doing at that side is happening on this side, and that will be part of the tuning procedure. Right, that's done. Now all we need to do is, now this clip here I've been warned about, but we are going to have to take this clip out to get this off. But this is literally held in as a ball joint, so I'll just pry that off. Just get in and there we go. Oh, the rubber seems to come off. Is that supposed to happen? Is that rubber supposed to be part of that, or is it supposed to come off? Oh, I'll get it off at a later date. I'll put the rubber back on. That's fine. It seems to be quite a tight fit as it is, but you can't get it through that clip. So you do need to take this clip out. Now, there's no real way of doing this. It's just one of these clips that you've got to pry out from this side. Now, I'm going to need two hands for this because I've been warned that that clip could spring all over the place. So I'm going to do this off camera, but you can see how you're supposed to do it. It's just supposed to pry from the back side, and well, you're going to need two hands, one to pry and my left hand to hold it. Right, that was a minimum of fuss. The clip has actually come out. Well, not completely anyway, but I'm going to fetch it out because I don't trust it being here. But it literally that's the clip, that's the choke cable flicking forwards. So you've got to sort of hook it in at the top like that, and then the bottom slots in. So I'm going to put that in my parts tray. By the way, guys, we've got a bracket here. Okay, so you've got the carb here, and you've got a bracket here held in with these 2 bolts onto the inlet. Now, this holds the choke and the accelerator cable, because this is your gas pedal, okay, your accelerator cable. Now, what we're going to do is just release this clip. It's this. Oh, God, it's stiff. God, this is stiff. You might need some silicone spray, which we have down here. My box of goodies. Yeah, you might need a bit of this today. There we go. It will come out. There we go. There we go. Good old silicone spray. Maybe not. Is this, I wonder if this grommet is actually fixed. I don't know. That might be fixed actually, deliberately. Maybe it's not adjustable like I thought. But literally just twist. You've got to basically, this cable goes into this groove and you've got to sort of twist it off, and then it should either go one way or the other. Yeah, it will come out. Oh, come on. There we go. There we come. There we go. That's your cable. That is the carburetor cable, okay? The carburetor cable goes from that red one. That's the carb cable. So we have the carb cable. And so basically, like I said before, I said it again, these 2 cables go from, so the gas pedal goes to that bracket, and these 2 cables, the kickdown cable and the carb cable, these are supposed to work together equally, okay? It's really, really important. I'm just going to hook that down there because it's not relevant, and nor's the choke cable. Okay, so we've got those 2 off, so we are completely detached. But to remove the carb, we've got to remove this bracket, because this whole throttle assembly is actually, it goes through this spindle here on this bracket. It's lovely Ford logo. So we've got to take these 2 bolts out. I think they look like 13s. Let's see if I'm right. Let's go back. So, is that? No, it's just, is it just cracked off, or is it? There we go, it has gone. Wow, that was quite tight. And this one, there we go. Wow, they've cracked off quite nicely. No, it jumped off. I thought I got the wrong size then, but they cracked off rather nicely, these 2. There we go. Now, this bracket can just theoretically move off. There we go. Now, as something dropped down there, I'll find out in a second. I've just consulted my video, and definitely nothing would have gone astray. It sounded like something dropped, but it was just my ears. And don't drop that bolt, Andrew. Just thread it in, will you? That'll be good. Oh, come on. There we go. Right, just put those bolts back in. But this is now all free, okay, and not obstructed by anything. Now, the next thing is to take the fuel feed off. Unfortunately, the new line that's been put into place is crimped. I don't like this because it makes it difficult to get it off in the future. I've got some petrol pipe clamps, which will do just as good a job, but I've got to get a pick into this. It's just the crimp type. It's basically where you crimp it over. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest. And I like easy access to things like this, so I'm just going to lever this off as best as I can. There's no way of doing it. You've just got to make sure there's a gap, and then you can get a flathead and then try and push it out. That's the idea. You're uncrimping it. This might take a while.
That's it. I've managed to uncrimp it, and I think it should be able to pull off the pump. I might leave that on the carb side and deal with that in the house, but come on. Goodness me. Oh, this is putting up a fight. It's a good security crimp, I'll tell you that. Oh, flipping heck. Might need to uncrimp this further. Yeah, I think it wants to go, but it's not quite there. Trying not to poke holes in what is a relatively new rubber hose. Instead of yanking it, I'm going to just try again. That's the best way. If it won't come out, don't force it, because often things that are forced break. Just reel it back, and off we go. Oh, dearie me. Right, so don't know if there's any fuel in that, but we won't have to worry about that too much. I'll deal with that pump in a second. Great. Okay, our feed is off. Now, what I'm going to do is, at the back here, we have an anti-dieseling solenoid, and I'll just disconnect that. So just leave that down there. Okay, like quite a few things are going to be left. We have this vacuum line, which has come from the Dizzy. I've got to somehow get a screwdriver into there and try and pry it out. Might need some persuasion. Come on. A pick is your best friend. Although with vacuum lines, be very careful not to puncture a hole. There we go. Done. Okay, that's the next thing. That's come out. Lovely. Right, we can start to see a bit more clearly. We've got another vacuum line with another carb trap, I call them, that goes on this T-junction. I'll just pull that off. Lovely. So I think that is the throttle kicker solenoid for that. It takes a vacuum line from the inlet manifold that I've just pulled off. It goes through that solenoid, and that solenoid operates the vacuum to operate the kicker, the throttle kicker as such. Anyway, I don't know what, finding all sorts of remnants of parts numbers from back in the day, sadly deceased. But yeah, we're going to just pop that over there for now. We have a vacuum line on the other side. Again, I think my flathead might come in use. There you go. All you need is just to get in and break that seal. Once you've shifted it, it just comes off. There we go. So all that throttle kicker stuff is over there. Then we've got another one that is, it's the servo, the vacuum for the servo. I did discover some rust on this servo cover. I think there's been some brake fluid getting out, so I'll give that a bit of a sand down, a bit of a spray up to make it look a bit nicer. But yeah, that's all right. It's teething problems, but it looks like it's actually a screwed-in connection. Oh, okay, I'll have to get the flare spanner out. Got that flare spanner on. It's a 14mm, and just push down. Oh, there we go. Took a load of skin off my arm at the same time. There we go. That was relatively pain-free, and it will just come out quite nicely. There we go. Lovely. That was relatively pain-free. So just probably move that around just so I can get it out of the way. Can I just take this connector out? I remember where all this goes eventually. There we go. I'll just put that over there. Right, I could probably take that out, to be fair, because it's only plastic. Right. Okay, so we seem to be all disconnected on this side, apart from obviously this crimped feed, which I'll get off in time. But yep, we're all disconnected. Okay, we're all disconnected in literally a few minutes. Now, to take the carb off the inlet manifold, we have a few bolts. I'm going to try and use my ratchet spanner for that. They look like either 8s or 10s. 10s it is. Well, that was easy. No resistance whatsoever. And we go to the back side, trying to find it. This is still in the way. You can't see much, but just trying to get my ratchet spanner into place. Can't quite get it in there. You've got to be careful about this. I'll come round to the front. This could be a bit of a faffy one. Right, I'm going to have to take this off because it is in the way. The back ones are a bit funny with the ratchet spanner, but if they all come off as easy as this one, we should be okay. Come on. Just trying to ease it down off that pipe. Well, that's moved. It hasn't moved a long way. Oh, come on. Oh, pain in the ass this is. Oh. Just keep wiggling until it comes off. Ah, done. Oh, excuse me. Just dregs of petrol. These are brand new hoses, hence why we've got this this protectant just to prevent chafing. Okay. This is one of them jobs where you need one of them stubby spanners, because literally I'm still being blocked by this pump. I'm going to take this pump out. It's just one of these jobs where you can't get to one bolt, so you have to take another bit off. Then to take that off, you need to take another bit out. And you know you know what I'm talking about, guys. You've probably all, if you've worked on your cars, you'll know what sort of jobs I'm talking about. We've got some 13s here. I'll just take these two out, and this pump will just slide out. Come on, right. Yeah, use my spanner. Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take that hose out and blow through that a little bit. Okay. So now this has come off recently because it's just been recently replaced. And these are not expensive things to buy. These. Last time I checked, they were about 15 quid. These pumps. There's just nothing to them. I mean, electric pumps are just as cheap, but they're not very easy to change, are they, in the boot? And that's one thing that won me over with this car. I've just dropped a nut, excuse me. This is usual. We've got to find where that's gone now. I bet you it's gone in. Oh, it's bloody well has. It's gone straight into the oil. This is the amount of oil that's still coming out of the sump. If you can see, it's still dripping. Ugh. Yeah, definitely won me over with this car. Carb fed, mechanical pump. You know, it's, for me, it's just, yeah, it's a winner. It's a total winner. Simplicity and everything, and back to basic stuff. Now just gotta make sure I don't drop this one. There are some washers on here. Ugh, oily. Right, now this pump should just wiggle off. Theoretically. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, hold on. It's just stuck on there. That is not good at all. This is cracked. Oh my goodness me. That is cracked. Look at that. That is not good. That is aftermarket rubbish. Oh dearie me. I'm gonna have to be very careful. Let me just have a look at getting this out. I think it might need a bit of a pry. Well, that's no good, is it? The casing is actually broken. Oh dearie me. That is not good. Right, I'm gonna have to add that to the shopping list. As you've just seen, guys, it's literally just gone. I mean, literally, I applied very little pressure and, well, there was a weakness there already. So, oh dearie me, that's not good. That's brand new. That's like less than a month or two old. That's ridiculous quality. Well, I'm going to be going on eBay and getting another one, but hopefully a bit more high quality. That is absolutely obscene. Now, I wondered why it was a bit stiff to come out, but as far as I'm aware, that's the eccentric lobe that presses against the pump, and that's the spring that it basically pushes against. Why was it so bad to get out? That's ridiculous. I'm going to have to refer to the video where I actually start taking the nuts off this, because clearly there was a weakness there in the casting. Just goes to show that aftermarket stuff. This is Cambiari. Well, that's no good, is it? Anyway, I'm going to actually... we've got a proper petrol pipe hose, so at least I can release that quite easily. Well, I've had a couple of breakages recently. We had the starter motor, now this. But just goes to show, new parts are just... you've got to be very, very funny about new parts. There we go. Good. Now, all I need to do is probably get this off as well, since that this thing is going in the bin of shame. There we go. And this might be a bit stiff. It doesn't want to budge. Again, what I suggest, guys, is the persuader of this. Although, saying that, this should have been off. There we go. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. Done. Right. This is going in the bin of shame. I think the first thing that goes in the bin of shame. 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 Right, let's re-continue after breaking something else. These things do happen, and before I started doing all this work, on a project like this where you're taking so many things off, there will be some natural breakages. Some, my fault, some were already there. I can only assume, may not have, I don't think it was not installed properly, it's just, I don't know. I have no idea. But maybe I should speak to Rob, the previous owner, about the receipt. Has he got the receipt for that damn thing? Wow, it's in the bin, to be fair. It's rubbish. It is utter rubbish. Now, I need to try and get to them 2 bolts at the backside. It might be a bit difficult, actually, because those 2 bolts are kind of here. One there and one there. But getting to that is going to be a bit of a faddy-daddy. Just about got a few degrees of room. You have to sort of, you have to keep twisting your spanner. That's the best way of doing this. Okay, and then the other one. Let me just go around there. Come on. Yeah, I've got that just about. Yeah. Well, a delightfully simple car to work on, and yeah, I see areas that need refurbishing. Although I've got to say, I think the work, there's a lot of work here, and I've got a feeling that October the 23rd is not going to be possible. Right, we're all off. Now it's a simple case of There we go. Break it from the gasket. And out we come. What beauty she is. Okay, but we've got this gasket here that's supposed to leave on. It's like a shit. I think this is supposed to be like a shim piece actually. Don't know if that is part of it, but I'd rather just leave it alone where it is and just give it a bit of a clean up. That's all good, but it looks rather good down there. We've got the oil pressure. I'm going to take that off actually. So the oil pressure switch, which is just down here. I'll just remove that. I'm going to clean all this up because this is the loom at the back. So that all the wires tend to hang around here and come down underneath this scuttle area here. And we've got a couple of the pipes. I've got to work out which one of these is the feed and which one's the return. I've got a feeling the small diameter is the return and that's the feed. Now this has been replaced as well by the look of it. This one hasn't been, but I think it might well need it. The fuel pipes look pretty good, to be fair, down there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And we can see the sort of throttle cable. So this is the throttle cable. Throttle cable to kick down and carb cable linkage on the side. We can see more of what's going on here. We've got this hose that goes into the heater. See, this is the hose that we took off in the previous episode that goes from the front. It goes into here, sort of in a split section where one goes into the inlet and one goes to the heater. Might take some of that out, but we'll just see. It all needs a bit of a nice clean up at the back. We've got the steering. Well, we got the crossbar for the master cylinder that goes across here. And then underneath we've got the steering rack, which is bolted to the bulkhead instead of a subframe. Quite interesting, really, quite old school. But that's the way it was done back in the day. And this carburetor, yeah, it's going to need everything doing to it. I'll just turn it around. Oh, I've got a bit of fuel that's spilling out. That's all right. But got things like that. I mean, this is the kick down, the throttle kicker. That's a good sign, that is. It all works off diaphragm, so you've got your accelerator assembly here. See, that is what operates when you touch the gas pedal. Now, the throttle kicker is linked to the gas pedal just a little bit. They're all kind of linked a little bit. Now, if I turn this almost to full throttle, we get another Venturi that opens. Oh, excuse me. See that one? So this one opens, and then suddenly on full throttle that opens. That is your power valve. The power valve is doing that at the back. It is opening the other one for a much richer better airflow, and it will enrich the mixture. We've got the anti-cut-off dieseling solenoid. We've got the secondary barrel here, which I'm not sure what that does exactly. Obviously we've got at the front we've got the feed that goes into the float. The back side we've got the accelerator pump is there. So you see that this is the accelerator pump where my finger is. It's all really good. The power valve is just here as well, which is what does what I said it does just now. And yeah, it's all going to get rebuilt. It's quite heavy. It's quite complicated compared to an SUV SU car, but it's more complicated than I thought. But it'd be really interesting to take apart. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Next job. Just come on. Oh. My God, that was hard. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that needs to be cleaned out because that's half the issue with the breathing systems if they're choked. So that's going to need a lot of cleaning. Which might not probably help the blue smoke issue, but I'm just going to put my finger into that hole. Yeah, it's just sludgy is the word. Very sludgy. Let me just I have to get some carb cleaner into that hole. It's just a little breather hole down there. Not the cleanest of engines, but ideally I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible for it to breathe. You can see the oil filter and the oil, that oil, by the way, that oil pressure switch, come on, focus in, that's it. That oil switch has been replaced because it was leaking, and so the oil filter just let it drip, and we'll degrease the back of this. It just looks really, really greasy at the back of this axle. And obviously, because this car is quite of an age, we have a speedo cable that goes down there and takes a sort of dog drive gear off the final drive, as they say, the diff, or the final drive. So yeah, that goes there as well. So there's an awful lot of linkages going around, but I'm just going to have a general clean up and move all my tools, and then we can go on to the next thing, which is this cross member. Right, for this job you're going to need probably some deep sockets, so a deep 19 and a deep 17 1/2 inch with a breaker bar. Okay, because on the cross member, I'm glad it's bright because we can see it now. At the back we have got a mounting. Okay, we've got like a sandwich mounting. Now the idea is that first, this is how it bolts to the car. So we've got 2 bolts here, the 19s here, and there's 2 19s at the back, and then there's a 17 holding the mounting to the engine and gearbox, and there's another one at the back. Now the idea is that you release this bolt first to release these 2. But at the end of the day, it's not going to go anywhere because the sandwich is still there. You've just taken the bolt out, you just loosened it. That's it. That is what secures that gearbox to the cross member. It's as simple as that. Okay, so you take these 2 out first. Once you've taken these 2 out, then we're going to go about supporting the gearbox. I'm going to have a look in a second now to do that properly. But in truth, I really don't want to be using the pan because 1, I don't consider it strong enough. 2, we're going to take the pan off anyway. This is just to allow better access when we do come to do the gearbox. But basically, I have wire brushed these down completely. Okay, I have wire brushed them, and I'll tell you what, this is going to get a bit of a paint, this cross member, because it's not nice at all. Yeah, that is for that. So we're going to get the breaker bar. Okay, so be very careful. Try and get it square on at 9. Don't do this. That's the wrong angle. You need it at 90 degrees. Well, obviously don't smash your valance, but just give it a bit of a leeway. And maybe use your leg. Oh, that's gone. That's gone. Yeah, just make sure it goes on nicely. Okay, we are merely cracking them. Right, tighten, loosen, tighten. Okay, I'm not using the impact gun with these. I could, and I think it would do a good job, but just remember, hand pressure at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that, and that's gone also. Trust me, I haven't done that off camera. There we go. They're all free. They can be wound out now with a ratchet. Now you've got to go to the back and do exactly the same procedure. I'm not going to show you that because that is a pain at the back, but you get the picture. Okay, get yon fella into position. Now we need to select a position here. There's all sorts of bits that I'm finding on the floor. I would say, because I'm not wanting to jack up on the sump, I think this piece is good. If we can jack up on the bell housing, the exhaust is quite close, but if I can get my jack in between the 2, I might have to use my small jack. I may have to use that, but I'll try and use the big boy, because then I can probably put an axle stand somewhere just in case. But I have made sure that this has been bled of air. Poor thing, she's been sitting for quite a while, and I use this to jack up my cars quite frequently. I thought for a split second we had some oil coming out. I just saw this at the corner of my eye. I thought, what? Where's the oil coming from? So we're going to try and jack up here. I'll see how it looks. Move this into the right position. Yeah, this is going to be a bit tricky because what I'm ending up doing is I'm actually jacking up the exhaust. This is not ideal. Now, there's no instructions in the manual for this because the automatic models are really not covered very well, in my opinion. No. I'm afraid what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get the small jack. Sort of things you have to think about when you're working on cars. How to jack up safely, being safe. It's the number one thing. So axle stands to protect my safety. We've got the tyres on, even though this one's absolutely goosed. Have you seen the cracks on that? That's a Michelin and it's completely lost pressure. But nevertheless, it's something on the ground. Now I'm just gonna, right. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm possibly gonna place a little block of wood here. Right, this is the smallest piece of wood I have, and it's not exactly appropriate for this job. That's okay. I will have an axle stand ready. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put that at the moment, but I've got to aim. See what I mean? It's going up nicely. That's now going to jack up very nicely. There you go. That's it. As soon as the car goes up a little bit, you know that that is well supported. Now, at the moment, I can't see a more appropriate place than where I've jacked. This is the problem. You need one jack in place for the jack and one for the axle stand. Now, the truth is, I know it's not much consolation. I'll just put that there for now. I can't anticipate this jack dropping on me, but you never know. We don't want the gearbox and engine sort of come crushing down on the floor. That would be disastrous. But I don't think it would quite happen in that manner, but still, you don't want these things. Anyway, we are now in a position where, yeah, we can take this off and that's not going to interfere. We just need to make sure that it won't. I don't think it will, actually. Right, we can now disconnect these two bolts. Try and get that axle stand in a good position. I mean, it is a steel sump. I don't know how protected it's going to be, but the idea is, yep, I can feel that winding out. Lovely. Here we go. That is literally that. Put that out of place. Okay, so now, essentially, the gearbox and the engine are actually free. It might get a bit caught on this thread, but the idea is that it can be dropped quite nicely. Okay, backside, and then those two. So we've loosened all of them previously. So let's just go. It's all done. It's all supported. Nothing is going to happen at this stage because at the end of the day, it's still supported on the cross frame. Whoa. Still tight. There we go. Now that engine and gearbox can actually move around a little bit. Just put that there, don't lose them. But literally, this engine and gearbox can now move around. There is nothing that is supporting that now. We've just got two studs that go through that cross beam. Now it's squeaky bum time. Make sure at this stage you are ready. So double check again. I had to adjust the trolley jack because this cross frame has got to come straight down, because it won't, because you've got the studs coming through. It's got to drop down. So I was a bit worried that the trolley jack was in the wrong place, so I've readjusted it so it's out the way completely. It is supported. The axle stand, as far as I'm aware, it's just there just in case, but I've got a feeling that some probably won't be enough. But the problem is there's no way else of putting it. There really isn't, and I can't really put it on the gearbox end because we're sort of taking that off. Right, I'm going to loosen. I'm not going to take out. Well, it would help if you actually got it on, Andrew. There we go. Okay, that's loose. Now we can go to the front and mind all this. Good old impact gun. Make sure it goes the right way for that. Okay, good. Gently, gently. Right, they're all free and everything's dropped, and this is now free. But you noticed nothing, no movement whatsoever, because we have it jacked. One, two, lovely. Okie dokie, squeaky bum time. There you go, third one, and the last. Come on, come on. There we go, it's out. You see how these have got like conical tips where you can't orientate them wrong and get them into the thread, or basically cross thread them when you're reinstalling. It's all good, right? Okay, now the engine is supported by the jack, and what we need to do is just angle this away a little bit. Now what we're having here is it's actually catching on this thread. Might make it a bit difficult to get it off. We'll have a look to see what we can do. Well, that was really uninspiring. It literally fell off when I turned the camera off. I was about to have a look at this, but we are all supported. See, this is not going anywhere because we've got support. Now what I can do is get the other jack into place. We could do a bit of mix and matching here, but my god, it's dusty and that is disgusting. Oh, we got a fixing here for something. Okay, I'll get this out. We'll have a proper look. My god, now when you're towing, this is what you're towing essentially, because we've got it strapped to the actual front crossbeam and then the rear bulkhead, two of the strongest parts of the car. It's a nice thick piece of steel, this, and it has to be because of obviously towing. It's just a bit greasy, and why we got a piece of rubbish there, but this is going to need a thorough degrease. But overall it's not rusty, it just looks really bad, so we're going to put it in the corner of to-do bits. Now some maneuvering may take place here, so what I'm going to do is put this axle stand just there. There you go, kind of on the corner of where it feels most planted on the gearbox. These rubbers, they look a bit, so these rubbers could do some cleaning up and some siliconing, but they don't look bad, these rubbers. They actually aren't cracked, which is just a testament to the quality of rubbers, including that one at the back there. It looks actually fine, just a bit cobwebby, but we can actually see the gearbox properly now in all its glory. And yeah, we've got the selector cable that goes all the way in there. It's very simple. We've got the start inhibitor switch there right in front of you. That can cause problems, so I might have to take the boot off and clean that. I've got a load of access now. This changes the game a little bit. That's great. Oh dearie me, I think I'm going to leave this episode here because I've got a lot of cleaning to do, including that, and you know, it's not going to be nice. I'm going to leave a little video here of what I've been doing inside the house, because, you know, I'm taking all this stuff in, but it's disappearing inside the house, and you don't know what I'm doing. So I'll just show you a few little clips of what I've been testing and how I've been cleaning off camera when these videos are being uploaded. That's my system. Upload the videos and then do a load of cleaning. It's a good system. Take care, guys. I'll see you very soon. Right. All this battery is good for. And that. Will it work? Yeah! We have life! Right. Done a bit of fan testing. Getting that blooming thermostat out. Well, we got the clip out. We just pushed the clip in. That was a pain in the ass to remove. But I just want to show you this, guys, because, well, that's the thermostat. It's a Ford Motorcraft 88-degree thermostat. The seal is just stuck in there. Oh my God. There's nothing left of that seal. Oh my God. It's left half of it inside. I have to dig that out, but my God. Yeah, I don't care whether that thermostat works. This is... Jesus.